Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 231. My friend Theresa Lowe is with us today, and you guys are in for a huge treat, especially if you are to the point where you know you're ready to grow, but you feel like you have this bottleneck. And the bottleneck is that you know you can't do everything. You know you need to hire help. But there's some fears around that, and I can personally attest to these feelings. So I'm so excited that Theresa Lowe is here today to help you streamline and scale your business by growing your team, by overcoming these fears. Theresa, welcome to the show. Will you please share everybody your background and a bit about you and how this became your area of expertise?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. So what I do is I help people, entrepreneurs who are overworked, they're stressed, they're stretched to the limits. I help them streamline the back end of their business so that they can get their time back. But also I help them build self-managed teams. And it doesn't matter if you are just starting out or you are multi-6, multi-7, multi-8. You always want to have your team be self-managed so that you're not doing all the managing, and you can, instead of wearing all the hats, you're just wearing the most important hat, which is the CEO hat. And so I work with people at different levels because the sooner you can start this, the better. And the way I got into this was I was a co-executive TV producer for 9 years for the top organic gardening show on PBS. And as the co-executive TV producer, it's what we would call in the digital industry an integrator or a chief operational officer. So I was second in command, and I had to run multiple episodes at the same time. So it was very project management heavy, but at the same time, I had to have teams filming around the country, and they all had to be completely self-managed. They had to understand what their jobs were. They had to be able to get all the episodes out the door, which is like little mini launches in our world of digital marketing. And so when I started my own business 6 years ago, it took off really rapidly because I started getting a team right away. And as I started coaching other people in the industry, I realized that team was one of the things that was holding people back. So we all start out with our laptop and a dream, and we start out doing all the things and wearing all the hats. Well, the sooner you can bring in a supportive team, and not just anyone, but a self-managed team, and you can have everything streamlined and clean on the back end, that allows you to scale. So I help businesses scale with ease by streamlining and having self-managed teams.
Wow. And you're right. I mean, I can imagine just the thought when you said that of all these little mini launches just gave me like a little, like, oh my gosh, that sounds terrible to
26. We did 26 episodes a season. So it was a lot.
Oh my goodness. So you're constantly living in this mode of like getting this produced, making sure our systems are streamlined and that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing at each phase along the way. And I can only imagine how many different moving parts that would take. Yes. So you and your history, your experience, your expertise coming into online business totally makes sense why you can see things that most online entrepreneurs can't in a way that it can make it completely easier and I imagine really simplified compared to your project plans that you were managing and what you were doing. So, and
exactly.
One of the things that oftentimes we run into with new businesses is the fact that they either don't know when it's time to hire or they think that it might not be time to hire, but they're really dealing with some mindset issues around hiring. And we talked about this a little bit behind the scenes and how I personally struggled with this for a very long time. But talk to us about what are some of these mental blocks? What is the mindset of an entrepreneur who's ready to scale?
Absolutely. And before I even dive into that, sometimes like what you said, how do people know that they're ready? So let me just address that. You know that it's time to get help when you are stretched too thin, you're overworking, or you're sacrificing yourself for the business. You're sacrificing your time, your health, your marriage, time with your family, your weekends, your evenings. We all have these ups and downs in our business where it might grow and we have little moments of that. But when it goes on for long periods of time, that's when you absolutely need to get more support and structure in your business because you didn't start the business to be working 18-hour days. That was not your goal or your dream. And yet we can get stuck there because we don't know how to fix this. And one of the things, like you said, it's a mindset issue. And I should also probably say right off the bat that I am talking about, doesn't matter what level, we're going to be talking about what the different things are that you can do in your business to get help. But it doesn't matter if you're just starting out. There are different ways to hire. So you can hire someone overseas if you are really strapped on money. You can hire a virtual assistant that's part-time. It can be a working mom who maybe used to work in corporate and has incredible skills, but when her kids are in school or go back to school she's no longer homeschooling, then she is going to be looking for something that she can do in those other hours. And so you can bring in someone part-time, but it can also mean when you are a multi-6, multi-7, multi-8, that you're bringing in a full-time employee. So what we're going to talk about here happens at all levels. All right. So the first thing that happens with most people is they get stuck in a solopreneur mindset. And it doesn't matter how much money you're bringing in, you can get stuck thinking too small. And so what I mean by that is that they'll say to themselves, when my business gets to the next level, then I will bring in the next help that I need in my business. And then my business will allow me to be a higher level CEO. And what I want you to do is flip the script on that. The truth is that you're never going to feel ready to take it to the next level. That doesn't just magically happen when you wake up. So you have to start thinking differently. You have to step into your future self and start making strategic decisions. And so the truth is that when you start acting and making decisions as a CEO, then that means you would realize that you need to bring in help. And that is actually what gets your business to the next level. So rather than just waiting for the next level to happen and then bringing in help, you need to bring in help to get to the next level. So it's all about really the
say that again. Yeah. Can you say that again? This is really, please, as you're listening to this, you guys, or, hit rewind on this or just hit pause. Theresa, I want you to say that again. And the reason why this hits home for me, and I just appreciate so much learning from you on this show, as our listeners are learning right now, is because I literally have on a whiteboard, I have my very own little whiteboard of what I'm eating each day and today's intentions and kind of little notes to myself. But on that whiteboard, just like 2 weeks ago, I put on there for my things I need to do each day was millionaire mindset.
Yes.
And I realize this. So I have built a seven-figure business in the past, but this company that we're working with right now, the Sweet Life company, is on our way to 7 figures consistently. And I realized that I was not having that mindset. You guys, this is so important. And since I wrote this on the board, like Theresa is saying, and I'll go and look at what I'm eating every day and my goals, my workout plans, it's all right there. That's what I wrote. And I think that people think, oh, well, that's just like a weird note thing, a weird mindset thing, but it has shifted my activity significantly in my business over the last couple of weeks. So can you say that again so people hear that?
Absolutely. So what we're talking about here is the be, do, have model. And that means that you need to be the CEO of your future and do activities that they would be doing in order to have what your goals are, your business that you want, right? So the way to, people go, okay, well, how do I do that? Here's a real simple thing. Every single morning when you're looking at your list, I want you to ask yourself, your to-do list I'm talking about. When you're looking at your to-do list, I want you to ask yourself, what does my business need from me today? Who do I need to be today? And which activities on this long list are going to get me to the next level that I'm trying to get to, rather than working in those smaller activities, those things that you could actually hire out for. It makes you realize that you're spending a lot of time in the mundane and not in the 20% that actually moves your business forward. In fact, you're so busy, you have like a 1% little sliver that you're trying to fit all those CEO activities in, and the rest of your day is taken up with other things. So that's why I started with this one. You want to be the CEO of your future. And so everything that you do needs to be aligned with that so that you can reach your goal.
Yes. And you should see my notes behind the scenes, you guys. Like a million Theresa Lowe notes already from this episode. And I think that, people look to strategies, they look to benchmarks to accomplish, they look to be able to check off this list when in fact doing exactly as you say is going to then reverse engineer what those activities are each day. And it's just such a powerful thing. So I just wanted to pause there for a second.
Yep, it's a good one.
Okay. Like, this is not like woo woo, you guys. This is a set, solid strategy that is very important. And I can personally attest to it. So what's next after we do that?
So another belief that can hold people back, because we want to hit people from all different angles. Maybe that was it. Maybe they were waiting because they were waiting for their business. A lot of times we'll say, and this is probably the most common one, they'll say, I can't afford to hire anyone, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You might say, I can't afford to hire the next person or a high level person. And so the analogy I like to give here is, if I were to come to you, April, and I were to say, I'm going to open a hotel and I just want to tell you all about it. And you're like, cool, tell me all about the hotel. And I said, well, I am going to be the person who checks people in at the front desk. And then I'm going to help everyone carry their luggage up to their room. I'm going to be the maid. I'm going to do the cleaning. And then when they come back down, I'm going to be at the restaurant and I'm going to take their order and I'm going to cook the food and deliver the food and then run back out to the front desk for the next person. You would think I was a nut. And you'd say, you can't do all those things well and you can't grow. And yet, that's what we do in our businesses, because we started with just us and we were doing all the things and we kept getting spread thinner and thinner and thinner. So when you're saying, I can't afford to hire a team, what you're really saying is that you aren't putting yourself first and you don't want to grow. And what I want you to do is realize that there are different ways to hire at different levels. So if you are just starting out, you can hire someone part-time. If you already have a business, then you can hire someone who is virtual, but maybe works more hours. And if you're at a higher level, you can bring in someone as an employee. But the truth is that you can always hire. It's a matter of finding the right person for the right seat to do the right things so that you're not wasting your time or your money. And we're going to talk more about that as we go through the other ones.
Great. Thank you for that. And that's a great analogy. So after this is established, right, we've established that you absolutely cannot grow without help. And this is very important. And certainly there are some of you who are listening who want to be solopreneurs, and this episode probably is not for you. When you are ready to grow, these are important strategies. So what comes next, Theresa, after we have gotten over these mindset hurdles that we've discussed so far?
Right. So then another thing that can hold you back is that you'll say, well, good people are hard to find. So let's talk about that piece right there. Because if you are holding yourself back because you think you can't, like, okay, maybe I understand that I will never feel ready. Maybe I understand that I need to hire, but I don't even know where to start in hiring. And what I want people to understand is that there are good people out there. The trick is that you have to hire the right person by looking at character over resume. So a lot of people teach how to go out and hire, and they'll tell you to put a post out, job listing, and then you bring in the person and you're just looking at their resume to see if they have experience. And I actually teach hiring in a very different way. I want people to be really, really clear on the type of person that they want to bring in. And I'm talking about character. What type of person do they need to be? Because even if you only have a team of one other person besides you, you're building something here. So you want to start doing it right out of the gate. And as you get bigger, you want everyone on your team to have a certain character level. So when I'm hiring, I'm looking at character, because the truth is that if I can get someone who's a go-getter, a problem solver, they're excited about my work, they're excited about my mission, I can teach them anything. They don't even have to have the experience on their resume. So when you are going through the hiring process, be looking for the type of person who can grow with you and can learn, even if they don't have experience. If you just feel right about them because they're like pumped and excited, then you are hiring more to character than to resume.
That's such a good point. And that's how I hire, is with an established skill set. But one of the greatest things that, if I can just share for those of you guys who are listening, one of the greatest things that I decided to do about 10 years ago when hiring was I decided to hire people that wanted to see their future in my business as well.
Yes.
That could see their own, anything life they wanted to build, the time they wanted to be working, the kind of work that they were fired up. And although it might not have been the actual activity that they wanted yet, what was really helpful and how we've grown our teams is listening to them, trying to figure out what they want to do, what are their big, huge moonshots, what are their dreams, and how can they accomplish those dreams underneath our brand. And I think that that's why we have had a team who's worked with us for so long, is because of that. Now, definitely skill set as well, but then I will also pay to have the right people trained in the skill set. So I'll pay to have the right people in my team learn a skill set that I want them to have, even if they were just totally clueless, because it's more about the person. Kelly Buckner, who's our director of operations, she is like my dream COO, and I just don't know where I'd be without her. But the things she's doing don't always align with her biggest dream, but she knows her biggest dream is within the future of our company. And so just wanted to kind of add that in there as an example for those of you guys who are listening.
Yeah, having lifelong learners is one of our core values. So we do the same thing. I have had different members go through courses so that they could get up to speed, and it's a game changer, and they feel even more committed to you because now you are helping them grow as a person. So we're all about growth and stepping into a bigger you. And sometimes someone on my team will find a course and they're like, I really think this would be helpful. I would love to take it. And I'm all for it. I will pay for them to take that class.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that what we're talking about is the future of culture of small and micro-sized businesses. And it really is true that so many people look for the skill set. We're in clubhouse rooms. You and I both are in clubhouse rooms all the time where people are talking about, how do I hire and how do I do this and how do I do that? And they're getting great advice like, well, go to this and search for this skill set. But I love that the conversation we're having here too, because you can have a person who's really great at something but doesn't fit into the culture in the future. And I think the hardest thing, and I'll just share kind of this fear, and since we're talking about the fears of hiring, one of the hardest things that I had to deal with before I really started hiring for the right person rather than the skill set was hiring somebody, training them, investing that time, and then they leave and being so fearful of so much time lost. And I know this isn't just an April problem or a Theresa problem. These are problems that corporations deal with, this replacement cost and this replacement time. But I remember feeling so fearful of going, gosh, I'm going to invest in this person and they're just going to ditch me and leave, you know?
And well, that can happen. And so one of the things that I work with people when I'm helping them streamline their business, there's really 3 pillars we go through, and it's the structure, the support piece, which is what we're talking about here. But what you're talking about is the scalability piece, and that is having contingency plans. So that's really having the structure behind the scenes so that if someone steps out, someone else can step in, and having systems and processes so that that happens. But absolutely, we are also investing part of our heart when we bring someone in, because we're small businesses. So it's a very small but mighty team. And there's a lot of heart that goes into bringing someone in. But here's the way I like to look at it. When someone is leaving, and for me, it's happening for me rather than to me. And I want them to grow and go find a better fit, because something about that was not a good fit for them. And if it's not a good fit for them, they're not going to thrive. Just like if we take a flower and put it in the desert, that flower might be beautiful somewhere else, but in the desert, it's going to wither and die, right? And so if we have someone on our team who really is not aligned with staying with the team, it's better that they go sooner rather than later. So sometimes we'll have signs, and that's some of the things that I coach people through. There'll be little signs that we missed or along the way that we weren't really paying attention to. But when someone is going to leave, I've had people leave to go on and start their own business, and I actually give them some of my coaching programs because I want them to do well, because we've built a relationship. But if someone is stepping out, it's actually happening for you, because there's going to be someone else that can step in that will take you even further than that person ever could.
What a great set mind you have, Theresa.
Yeah. Mindset is like the key to everything.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Like that is an amazing different viewpoint on that. And thank you for sharing that. I think that's so incredibly powerful. So let's get back to some of these fears that our listeners might be feeling. Some of these, almost like we could have named this like the 5 lies you're telling yourself, but you really need to be hiring by now. You know, what are some of these other thought processes that people need to overcome to really get into this let's go, let's scale this business, let's hire, I'm ready for the next level?
Absolutely. So one of the other roadblocks, and this actually tends to happen with people who are already a little bit more further along, is that they worry that they have to manage the team or they are currently managing the team. And that's why I specialize in self-managed teams. If you are managing the team as the CEO, something is wrong. You should never be managing the team. You want to be bringing in people who are in the right seats, doing the right things, and they are self-managed. So the way that you can tell if you are in the management rather than the CEO role is if you are helicoptering them, right? We all know what a helicopter parent is. Well, there's also a helicopter CEO, and it's where you're hovering, like, are they doing it? Are they doing it? Are they doing it? Right? And some of that can be your systems that you have set up. Like maybe you don't have touch points where you can kind of keep your finger on the pulse without being in the weeds. That's something that I help people set up so that they don't have to be in the weeds to know what's going on. But sometimes it's really a matter of learning to let go and let go in the right way. So what I want you to realize is that what we want to do, what we want to be stepping into is mentoring our team, not managing the team. So this means having real clear expectations and results that we're looking for. So they have a very clear lighthouse, and we can have 30, 60, 90-day check-ins and be able to say, okay, we got a little off track here, but as long as they know what the lighthouse is, we shouldn't have to helicopter them. They should be able to figure out how to get there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Helicopter CEO. I'm definitely writing that down. It absolutely makes sense. That was a great analogy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And this is a random question, just putting you on kind of the spot here for our listeners. Is there a favorite team software for communication that you have that you like to recommend to your clients?
Absolutely. So most of the industry uses Asana. And Asana is great. I have used Asana. But for project management, I really like Monday.com. That's actually my favorite. And the reason is because not everybody adapts well to Asana, and Monday.com is much more visual. And I find for entrepreneurs, they're very creative, and they tend to have a lot of creative people on their teams. And the team, if you have never used any project management software and you currently have a team, it's a much easier transition onto Monday than it is to Asana. Now, that said, Asana is great. I'm not saying Asana is bad. If you're already using Asana, don't switch. If you love it and it works for you, great. But if you've never used project management software, or you're intimidated, or your team is, Monday works really well. It also is very intuitive, and so it makes it easy for the team to adapt to that, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Thank you for sharing that. Our listeners always want to know everybody's software stack of what we're using. And I know a lot of our listeners use Trello. Airtable is where we manage our podcast production. But back in the day, we used to use Smartsheet and Gantt charts and all these things that were just not user-friendly at all. And they were so detailed that we would send it to people and they would just be like deer in the headlights. And they're just going, what is this? What is this? And so I absolutely love Monday. We've had a guest recently who is talking about, is it like ClickUp? I mean, whatever works for you guys. And I think that is the thing here, but I love, you're an expert in this. And so I love hearing of what you recommend and what works for you. So thank you for sharing that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say what's most important is that you use it. So if you try something and it doesn't work, try something else, because everyone's brains work differently. So it's okay if something else works for you.
Right. Perfect. Yes. The great advice. And then any final thoughts to, this hesitation to hiring that you want to leave with our listeners? Any like actionable steps you're saying, okay, listen, you're listening to this episode because you know you need to be hiring, but there's a wall. There is a mindset shift that needs to happen, but there are actually things that you as a leader are putting in your own way. And those are things we talked about today. Like I can't afford to hire a team, or what if they leave, or, how do I actually go through the process of delegation? And you shared some really important thoughts that people are already having. I know our listeners are hearing, being like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm thinking this in this process. What do they do now from this episode, from listening to this show? What are some actionable items right now where they can leave and that they can start fixing this problem today?
Right. Well, if we circle all the way back to stepping into being a CEO and thinking like your future CEO self, what I want you to do is start doing a time audit. Now, when I say time audit, people's eyes glaze over and they go, oh, that sounds so corporate, and I have to write down all the things I did all day. But here's what I want you to realize. You may think you know what you're doing every day, but you're probably doing some things you shouldn't be doing and you don't even realize it. And you keep thinking, oh, I'll just do it real quick myself. And it ends up taking an hour. Or I can just whip this together, and you end up, your whole day is totally shifted because you got down a rabbit hole in Canva or something. So what I want you to do is to do a time audit on yourself so that you can see, where am I currently spending my time? And then put on your CEO hat and take a hard look at that. Are those the things that I should be doing? Which of these things do I know I just shouldn't be doing, or I'm not very good at them? Which of these things could I hand off to a current team member, or do I need to bring in a team member? So really doing a time audit should be your very first step. And then absolutely every single morning looking at that to-do list. Do I really have to do these things? Which of these things are going to move the needle the most in my business? Which of these things are the money makers? Which of these things are driving me to my goals? And make sure that you're working on the right things, because we can very easily get busy doing the wrong things, and nothing can slow down your growth faster than doing that.
Great, Theresa. You are so wise. Thank you so much for your leadership in this. And you coach entrepreneurs who are in 6 figures, 7 figures to 8 figures. And you have a couple of different programs. So if you guys are listening here, this isn't a podcast where we sell you anything. We don't even accept advertisers on this show. The deal is we want you to have the next steps to take action. So Theresa, can you tell people how they can connect with you? And based on where they are, what phase they're in, what do you have available to get them to that next level with their teams?
Absolutely. So where people can connect with me is streamlinedandscaled.com, all one word. And on the website, I have information, lots of free resources. What I have in the way of programs is, if you are just hiring your very first team member, or if you have just hired poorly and you need help hiring the next team member, I have a program called Team Up Like a Boss. It's a very low, very inexpensive program that has all my templates and processes, my whole methodology for hiring to character first. Okay. Then the second program that I have is a group coaching program, for multi-6-figure and multi-7. And that's where we streamline the back end of your business and get your team to be self-managed and make your team set you up to be scalable so that you can scale with ease and have your time back. And that is Streamlined and Scaled. And then I do consulting for multi-8-figure businesses who already have major teams and headaches going on, and they need someone to come in and check out where are the issues. And I do that as well.
Great, Theresa. Thank you so much. So based on where you guys are, there is a program, there is a solution. Start, like Theresa said, with going through your activities today, really focusing on the things that only you and only you can do. Maybe like me, write on your whiteboard or a sticky note or on your mirror and lipstick or whatever it is that you need to be honing in on the millionaire activities in your business. And that is, it sounds very basic, but this is truly, I can personally attest to this. This is truly where it all starts rolling from there. And we do have a very special treat for you guys. As you know, that we promote and share and network with you and help you, link arms with you and coach you in Clubhouse now. So if you're an active subscriber to this show. That means it drops on Monday. This particular episode is dropping on Monday, June 14th. And Theresa and I are going to be live answering your questions, workshopping with you, taking your specific team building questions, helping you strategize through the struggles or your concerns or your fears or your issues of growing your team on Wednesday, June 16th. At 12 o'clock Eastern time. It's totally free for you to be in there. If you're really ready to take your business to the next level, it starts by taking action, and that starts by joining us at 12 o'clock on June 16th in our Clubhouse room about this topic. And to find the Clubhouse room, you can very simply follow our club, join our club, even all you Android users now, by going to sweetlifecommunity.com. Again, that's sweetlifecommunity.com. You can talk to Theresa. She's there for you, and we're all here to support you. And all of the show notes, of course, to reach Theresa beyond what we talked about here will be in the show notes for this episode. This is episode number 231. Thank you so much, Theresa, for your time and your wisdom and your expertise in pouring into us on today's show. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
It was fun. Thanks.